I would like to introduce our first speaker today, who is Dr. Marie-Pierre Bonnet on the right side of the panel, who is an anesthesiologist working in a large level 3 maternity unit in Paris. She is going to talk about amniotic fluid embolism, a topic on which she has published several important papers. Amniotic fluid embolism is one of the most typical crises that we can see in obstetrics and is a feared complication mainly due to its severity and the risk of maternal death. Marie-Pierre, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. So I'm going to talk about amniotic fluid embolism, which is a really frightening situation for anesthesiologists working in maternity, but a very interesting one too. Why is it frightening? Because amniotic fluid embolism still remains a complex pathology, because it's a very rare situation and it's a potentially lethal condition. In addition, its pathophysiology is still not completely understood, and there is no international consensus definition, which is a very big problem for publication and for comparison between studies. In addition, there is no specific biologic markers of AFE still in 1999. As a consequence, there are numerous difficulties for the diagnosis of AFE and also for research studies. And finally, still the diagnosis is only based on a bundle of clinical signs. For the diagnosis of AFE, there is a classic triad which is described in the literature and in the clinical setting. The first point is a cardiorespiratory collapse or sudden hypoxia and hypotension for the mother. 2, this collapse is associated with a very early coagulopathy, even before the bleeding occurs. And these 2 symptoms should occur during labor and delivery, which is a very characteristic for AFE, amniotic fluid embolism. This triad is most of the time associated with other inconstant signs, such as premonitory signs in half of the cases, which are mostly neurologic signs, such as anxiety, agitation, sensation of doom. The other sign is seizures in 20% of the cases, and a very specific symptom, which are abnormal fetal heart rate. So in front of this description, you can see that we are facing a numerous differential diagnosis. A useful tool for the management without delay for the diagnosis of amniotic fluid embolism is the use of specific kits for blood samples. First, the measure of EGFBP1 in the plasma concentration is interesting for the diagnosis of amniotic fluid embolism. Then the measurements in the plasma of tryptase and local anesthetic plasma concentration are interesting tools for the differential diagnosis of amniotic fluid embolism. And finally, the detection of squamous cells or other debris in the pulmonary arterial circulation is no longer specific, but is still recommended and should be integrated in these kits. Here is a proposed algorithm for the management of amniotic fluid embolism, which is mainly the management of cardiovascular collapse. And as you can see, it is non-specific. First, for the CPR ACLS for the mother, Frédéric Mercier will talk about that more in details, but first I would like just to introduce 2 specific aspects, which are first the lateral displacement of the uterus in order to prevent the orthocaval compression by the gravid uterus, and second, the performance of immediate delivery within minutes after the cardiac arrest for exactly the same reasons. The other aspect of the management of amniotic fluid embolism is that the clinicians should be ready to face a very severe and massive hemorrhage due to coagulopathy, and the use of massive transfusion protocol is mandatory in this situation, but also, and Sophie will talk about that later. Such algorithms are very useful for the management and could be integrated into cognitive aids, such as this one proposed by the Stanford Anesthesia Cognitive Aid Group. which summarize very simply the main component of this management. Here is the one proposed by the French Society of Anesthesiology and which is available on the website of the sfar.org. It's in French, and as you can see, there are the main component of the management of amniotic fluid embolism, and also you can add the specific phone number of your institution to take care of this mother. So the use of such tools are very helpful and simple for the management of crisis in obstetric anesthesia, such as amniotic fluid embolism. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Marie-Pierre, for this very short and nicely presented talk. We have several minutes to discuss about amniotic fluid embolism. Maybe for the moment we don't have any question on the website, so I would like to start the question session and ask you about something about outcomes. Traditionally, amniotic fluid embolism is associated with a very, very poor outcome, and very frequently we talk about a death rate of nearly 80%. It doesn't seem to be true anymore now, and probably closer to 10-20%. Could you tell us more about that and the reason why the death rate has decreased?
Yes, indeed, Dan, you are right. The mortality rate of amniotic fluid embolism has really decreased these last years. First, of course, because the management of these severe cases has improved, in particular because of the use of extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, for example. But also there are some changes in the definition of amniotic fluid embolism, and less severe cases have also been identified, such as amniotic fluid embolism. So as a consequence, the total rate of mortality has decreased because of improvement and because of change in definition.
Thank you. You mentioned extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. Could you tell us more a little bit about that, this technique in the case of fluid embolism?
Yes, of course, and also Frédéric will talk about that later too. But I would just say a few words for ECMO in amniotic fluid embolism. The specificity is that indeed several cases in the literature, successful management of amniotic fluid embolism, very severe cases that have been dealt with success with ECMO. However, I would like just to say that it should remain a case-by-case decision, because in this context, you know that for ECMO you need curative anticoagulation. And as I said just before, there are sometimes very severe hemorrhage in the context of amniotic fluid embolism, so that could the ECMO could make worsen the hemorrhage. So it's a very individual decision.
Thank you, Marie-Pierre.